Remember, you're pointing at me to tell me when to go. That's a song. Tell me when to go.
Technically, we started. You got it?
Got it.
Good.
We'd like to welcome everybody to the inaugural broadcasting of the Barre Beat with Rich Morey and Michael Boutin. As a disclaimer, if you're looking for a polished product, please turn the channel right now because that is not going to be this show.
No, absolutely not.
Neither of us have a single shred of broadcasting background experience, so please bear with us through the growing pains that are sure to follow.
We truly appreciate it.
So, as I said, I'm Rich Morey, and to my 1 o'clock is the ever jubilant, always positive, and in the spirit of the holiday season, jolly Counselor Michael Boutin. And yes, Michael, that is in no way a fat joke in relation to Santa Claus.
I appreciate that.
It's just that you're always a jolly fellow, no matter when I talk to you.
Thank you for pointing out my rotund size.
Very nice, very nice. So we're just going to take a minute here. We'll introduce ourselves. As I said, I am Rich Morey. For those of you who don't know me, I am a former city councilor. I was elected at a citywide caucus when our current mayor was elected mayor. I served 3 years, so I finished out his half term and then was elected to another term. I thought I was going to be moving in March of this year, and with COVID and the housing market, I have yet to do so. I am, however, this will be my coming up 2022 will be my third year as the president of the Barre Partnership, so you may have seen me in that regard. I'm also the chair of the Managers Task Force Search Committee, so you may have seen me there, or you may have seen me out and about in Barre. I have lived within the city limits for going on 12 years now, so I've been here for a while.
And my name is Michael Boutin, and I'm a city councilor currently. I've lived in Barre City for 35, 36 years. And, not much to say. My family is around from here. My mom was actually born in Barre Hospital. And, then in a weak moment, they moved down to Connecticut, where I was born. And then I moved up here when I was a
non-native Vermonter. Ooh,
please don't tell anybody. I would appreciate that.
I won't mention that I'm 8th term, but that's fine.
Ouch. Wow.
Yeah, that's fine.
I shouldn't have disclosed that. I feel like a natural Vermonter. I mean, I got the roots, right? I mean, I go back generations.
I guess we can give you credit for that.
I think my grandfather owned a shed up on the hill.
Just a shed?
What was a
shed? Was it a house? Was there a house attached to the shed?
It was a granite shed.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
It was a granite shed.
Thanks for clarifying.
I apologize.
Thanks for clarifying.
My other grandfather did some.
My grandfather owned a shovel.
Oh, I'm excited.
I don't know.
For
I
you.
just thought we were throwing out things that our family members owned.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. But this is going to be fun. So I've been on city council since 2010. Steve stepped down, and I took his spot. I won by a landslide against Ted Nugent, who was pretty awesome.
Did he bother campaigning or?
No. It was a write-in candidacy. Somebody wrote his name in during the caucus meeting.
And yet you both topped Mickey Mouse, so that's impressive.
Yes, I certainly did. It was a lot of fun. I actually know who voted for that, Ted Nugent, and we've joked about it a couple times. But so, and I've been on city council since then, and I just love this city, and I love being on city council. One of the things that, is really important to me is getting information out there. I think that we don't have a lot of I don't think a lot of people know what's going on. So this is a way that
Perfect segue, by the way.
Yeah. See, not intentional.
Oh, take the credit.
It's the in a something that we can do to try to get some information out there. We're utilizing Fly on the Wall Productions, and we are also utilizing, obviously, the Barre City Community fan page. And we're going to try not to put too much opinions into it. But the fact is we're humans. It probably will happen. And we're going to try to make it fun. And we're going to try to make sure that you learn something during this process.
As Michael mentioned, the fan page, we are both moderators on the fan page. Michael actually created the fan page, brought me on to be a moderator, an administrator, whatever you like to call it, when I was elected to city council. So we're both active on there. And what we've noticed, and it's changed in the last few years, but one thing we've noticed is there's overall a lack of engagement and participation in citywide activities in regards to city council. So we've been trying to come up with ways that we can get more engagement, reach more people, and have more people aware of the items that city council is discussing. And Michael's been doing a great job of getting those on the fan page. This seemed like another media stream that we could jump in on. JD was nice enough to come down here and lend his studio, Fly on the Wall Productions, so that we could get our voices out there and hopefully reach a greater audience. So as Michael said, we're going to try to keep things opinion free as we can and present the facts and discuss those. But occasionally you may find some opinions in there, and it's nothing intentional. And I think you'll find that Michael and I, though it may seem like we're always lockstep on the things we say and think, very often we have differences in opinions. And that's one thing that makes our friendship great, is being able to have differences in opinions and discuss those in a calm way and a reasonable way, so we know where the other person's coming from.
Right. Thank you. So we'll move on to our first item, which is the budget meeting on Saturday. So it was 3 hours long. So most people probably won't understand what happened, and not most people wouldn't understand it. I mean, it wasn't live on the
Zoom
platform.
Station.
Yeah. So you would have to. I don't even know if Tony Campos got it.
I'm not sure. The meeting notes, Carol takes notes for the meeting, so those will
True.
be available on the city website under council and agenda under the minutes. Michael, quick question.
Oh, hey, you know what? I just realized. So, like we said, we're not going to be good at this.
Hey, welcome to hiccup number 1. I don't even know what it is, so let's all find out together.
Oh, that's great.
Michael, what is hiccup number 1?
Hiccup number 1 would be making sure that the camera is actually on versus a blank screen.
Hey, good thing we're just recording audio at this point.
Yeah.
People can't see what they can't see. All right, back to question number 1. This was budget meeting number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say there's an average number of budget meetings or budget workshops that are done before the final budget is decided upon, or is it at an as-needed basis every year?
So Steve has actually done something different in the last couple of years. He's been working on getting that information out to us ahead of the budget meetings. And we're probably looking at 2, maybe 3, like deep down budget meetings. But he has had the department heads come to us multiple times throughout the year and provide us information.
So really the workshops are kind of an as needed until you arrive upon a budget that everyone agrees upon, or until time no longer permits and town meeting day is upon us, in terms of needing to get items on printed for the ballot.
Repeat that.
So there's really, I guess, let's try to rephrase that question. There's not a minimum set number of workshops needed. 1.
Correct.
You're saying that it's as needed. So it could be one budget workshop, it could be 5 budget workshops. And what you're trying to do is get an agreement, a general agreement of everybody on council that this is the budget you want to bring forward. Do you is it possible to run into time constraints for when items need to be submitted for ballot printing?
Yes, but we won't actually have that because we have to vote on it first, and then the ballots will be printed. So we do have set time, set time frames that we have to have the budget approved and ready and warned and everything else. Carol takes care of all of that for us. So
and as a general guideline, you're hoping that all council will agree on the budget moving forward, but it could be possible that it would be a majority.
Correct.
A majority of council moving forward and agreeance on the proposed budget.
And that has happened before.
Mm-hmm.
Our desire is that everybody agrees, and
it's a unified agreement that the budget
we
is
definitely
what it
want
is.
to do that.
Sure.
But,
what was your takeaway from the meeting on Saturday? Do you think that there's lots more room to be made on it, or do you think that you made significant progress and maybe many more meetings wouldn't be necessary?
So there definitely was some differences in opinions, but I think we're going to be able to find a happy medium. I'm hopeful for that.
If you were going to make a prediction on the over-under of how many future budget workshops would be needed before there was an agreement on the budget, how many would you say?
1, maybe 2.
Oh, nice. And is there a set schedule on when those happen, or do you discuss them at council meeting to decide when those will be scheduled?
So the next one is scheduled, I think, for not next Saturday, but the Saturday after. I can double check that.
And those
18th.
18th. And those tend to be mornings instead of afternoons. There was a little bit of a conflict with the coin drop, I know, this past Saturday, but generally
Correct.
They tend to be on Saturday mornings.
Usually in the past they have been. We're actually looking at noon, I believe, on the 18th.
Oh, another afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
But usually traditionally it's been in the morning.
Okay. I know you took the time to pull some slides in regards to certain items that were discussed. Do you want to go over your first slide that you have prepared?
So once again, I apologize for the technical issues. And this is going to be a running thing because I don't know what I'm doing.
Sure. No, neither do I. So we're learning as we go.
Perfect. All right. So we're just going to go to the first slide. And this is the increases that Steve has. So
could you start with the top one? Because people might not know what a single audit is. Michael doesn't know what a single audit is. I don't know what a single is. When I say people, I include myself in that because I don't know what it is. So that's okay. It's in relation to looks like the public safety building and the fire and police. So maybe it's an audit of.
I'm gonna text Steve what is a single audit.
Okay,
that's a really good question.
It could be an audit of the books. It could be an audit of supplies. I'm sure it's some kind of an account. Obviously, an audit would be an accounting.
Probably, some sort.
All right, let's move down through. You've got 3 things highlighted there.
So the 3 things are something that was highlighted by Don. So
Don is who?
Don is our financial
director.
person.
Yep.
Yeah. So
finance
we've got
director.
Finance director. So we've got website upgrade, which was one of the issues that we're gonna probably lower. We've got the police summer bike patrol, the Bs. That's a pretty big ticket item, $25,000, and part-time officer allowances. These are just some of the increases, along with 4 additional staff for this year.
What does website upgrade entail? Is that the EMS website, the fire website? What is that?
That's our webpage
For the city.
For the city. There's some concern about whether or not the web page is all that great, and I mean, legitimately, like we can understand that.
Yep. So why is that listed in the same place with fire and police?
This is just all the budget items that are increases
Okay.
that are of note. I mean,
Okay.
there's
Sure.
obviously, there's staffing increase based on raises for union negotiated contracts,
Mm-hmm.
but these are like things that they're pulling out, which is causing the increase in the budget.
And for the website upgrade, would that be hiring a consultant? Would that be whoever maintains the website now doing upgrades, is looking for a different hosting platform? Was there any discussion around what that meant?
There really wasn't much discussion around
Okay.
it.
And who would be making that call on the upgrades? I mean, how do we decide what needs to be upgraded, who's going to upgrade it, and when it's going to be done?
So that would be all done by Steve. Steve would make that decision.
At his discretion. Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the city manager has a $5,000 discretionary spending threshold, so he can, anything that's $5,000 and under, he's free to make a decision on that without going to city council on. Does that sound correct to you or ring a bell?
That is correct.
Okay. And if we could go back to that slide.
Sure.
And talk to me about the summer bike patrol, because I believe a decision was made on the $25,000 for the bees program.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
Probably not going to, or not going
It's
to?
not going to happen.
Okay.
I mean, unfortunately, it's one of those things that everybody loves, but it's the easiest one to cut.
Yep. Well, it's a feel-good thing to see the bees out there and know that they're calling in activity, but for $25,000 for a patrol that doesn't actually have any police powers, I can see where it would be something that we could cut out of the budget. But that brings us to our next item, which would be the part-time officers allowance. Are we saying we're not going to have part-time officers, or that the budget will stay the same as what it was last year? Because $10,000 is listed there for part-time officers.
Yeah, this is the increases in the budget. So what's here is just increase on what we currently have.
Would keep that flat from prior
Correct.
year. Okay. Yep.
And of course, the BOLA wrap maintenance, that's a new expense. We approved the BOLA wraps 3-4 months ago, something like that.
Well, and I think it's safe to say when you look at that list, safety equipment, the price of everything goes up. Ammunition, obviously, with COVID, the price of that's going to go up as well. So,
right.
Let's see what else you have for us tonight.
If I can figure out this system, All right, so the next slide is the traffic signal maintenance and grounds maintenance. This is just increases on the current budget.
I already see a question I have about traffic signal maintenance. I think the general public would probably point out that we have an issue with blinking lights, specifically the set of lights down at the bottom of Hill Street and Ayers. And I would be willing to bet that a majority of taxpayers would support paying an extra $10,000 if that problem would be solved and we wouldn't have lights blinking through the weekend. Just speculation on my part as an outsider looking in, but
I cannot deny that.
I know that's a reoccurring problem and one that many people would be happy to see be resolved. So
the traffic lights have been a problem since we replaced them.
Yeah, and I know that we've had numerous companies come out here, so it seems to me like maybe a one-time $10,000 expense, if it solved that problem, would be worth it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about planning department grants match allowance.
So that's just an increase. So every grant that's done, you have to have a match for it, and that's just adding additional money to that line item.
So I guess another way to look at that or another question to ask from that would say, we're not going to pursue additional grants. We're going to kind of stay where we are currently and have the same balance. So does that mean that we wouldn't be pursuing additional grants because we're not adding money to it? Or, that pot's got X amount of dollars in it, and when that pot dries up, then that's the end of it?
So
we're just not going to add any. We're just not going to add any money to the pot. Okay.
Yeah. So
stormwater supplies.
These are just, like I said, increases on the current line items. They're things that are just regular increases.
Sure. But was there any discussion about what stormwater supplies was?
No, there was no discussion about
to me,
that.
I don't know. I generally, I'm a lay person when it comes to that. I mean, to me, that could mean sandbags. I don't know what that means.
It could be. Definitely could be.
And any idea what seasonal cemetery staffing restoration means?
So seasonal cemetery staffing restoration, I would assume that would mean cleaning the stones. That has been a normal budget item since I've been on city council. It's something that does need to be done. The stones do get I think it's called lichen. Does that sound right?
Yeah, and they use a special chemical wash in the sprayers to clean them.
Correct.
And let's talk about city committee funding allowance, because that is a new item.
Yes, it is.
Explain to people what city committee funding allowance is.
So the committees of Barre City, the communities, there's these committees that city council has created, such as the
Cow Pasture Committee, Energy Committee,
and Equity Committee. The Energy Committee. Well, I believe the Energy has its own budget item.
Okay.
So, or budget line. So that would not be part of that.
Does that include task forces, such as the manager search task force, the homelessness task force, things like that?
I think that would be a catch-all.
Okay,
for that.
Sure.
So it would definitely be in there. We did have a conversation about that, and that's going to be reduced to, I think, $2,500.
And so what would that funding allowance, what does that money go to, and what would they be able to do with that?
Whatever the council will approve the committee doing. So if they wanted to do some sort of study on something.
Just to be clear, it's not saying that they're going to be getting paid for being on the committee. Okay.
No, so that's definitely not
mailers, surveys, studies. That's what that money would go to.
Correct. Seminars, stuff like that.
Trainings. Okay. And that you said that there was some discussion about lowering that already?
Correct. I believe the decision was to lower it to $2,500.
Okay.
And let's go to the next slide.
All right.
For increases.
What else do you have here? This is increases or?
These are increases.
Yep. Okay.
So, of course, we have our partner organizations, and full disclosure, again.
I am the president of the Barre Partnership.
Yep. So the Aldrich Library is going up $5,865. Barre Partnership, and this is in the budget.
This is as proposed by the city manager, Steve McKenzie.
Correct. And BADC as well, getting $1,300.
And that was a 2.5% raise over the prior year's budget, correct?
And we did cut those.
All three of those numbers were
correct. We're going to do 2%. 2%.
And does that Aldrich Library money factor in the $18,000 that the library received in ARPA funding?
It does not.
Okay.
So here are the budget reductions that were suggested. And
if that might be a little. That looks like expenses reduction.
Expense reduction.
Hiccup number 2.
So these are some of the line items that are in there that they suggested that Steve recommended for a reduction to reduce the rate. Council has, let me rephrase that. Some councilors have been adamant about what percentage we're willing to go up. On Saturday, we voted to keep the budget under 4%. There were some that wanted it under 3%, but we decided as a council to go with 4% or below.
Okay.
So, and as you can see here, we talk about the website upgrade, the city allowance, the VYCC stipend, and that's the Vermont Youth Corps Conservation Corps. It's Vermont Youth Conservation Corps. They actually did some significant work up in the cow pasture.
Yep.
And they also did some work down by Rotary Park. And if you go behind Rotary Park, there's actually a path that goes down to waterfalls down there. It's a really nice path to those waterfalls.
I think they also did some work behind the Restore, cleaning out along the river there as well.
Yes, they did. But unfortunately, we voted to. I added my opinion on, and that was an accident. I do apologize. But we did reduce their stipend to 0.
So that means no money for the Youth Conservation Corps to come in, and I think I'm not sure. It's generally teenagers, people under the age, I think, of 18, right, that do that work during the summer. Is that volunteer work? Do you know?
No, they are paid.
They are paid. Okay.
I do believe they are paid. But so we kind of went. Those were the items that we kind of talked about. We didn't really go into detail with the stormwater supplies, the seasonal cemetery staff. I did make a comment about the seasonal cemetery staff that not interested in getting any complaints about someone's gravestones.
Well,
would not be good.
And honestly, I mean, Barre's known for their cemeteries, and we have some of the most beautiful, artistically done gravestones in the world, and we have tours that are hosted of those cemeteries. So when that's a tourist draw and something that people are coming to see, you want to have a good presentation and you want to have a nice product out there. And if you've got product that's covered with growth and overgrown, you're doing yourself a disservice by not keeping that neat and tidy. So I would agree. I think that's something, and that's something that's important to many people around here. We have long-standing families with rich histories in our cemeteries, and I think a lot of people would be supportive of keeping our cemeteries looking good. Going back to that slide that you just had, though, was there anything on there that really stuck out to you outside of the Youth Conservation Corps and the cemeteries in terms of expense reductions? It was a little small. I couldn't. Anything else on there that jumped out?
No, I think I'm not opposed to the reductions that were suggested.
Okay.
Except for the city hall, the city hall custodian. One of the problems that we have is we don't have enough custodians to clean all the buildings of Barre City, and one of them is city hall, and there is some. It needs to be cleaned. So whether or not that makes it, I'm not entirely sure. It was one of the 4 positions that were recommended for this year.
And just so people are aware, we don't have one custodial person or company that cleans all of the city buildings, so such as public safety, city hall, auditorium, BOR. I believe my recollection is that the position at the public safety building is actually I don't know if it's a union or contract position where they only clean that one building, and that's in one of the labor negotiations, I believe, is that they have a dedicated person for that building. So for those of you wondering why we don't just have one person that spends one day at each city building, that's part of the reason right there.
That's correct.
All right, what else did you have there?
Well, let's see.
Anything else from the budget meeting on Saturday that stuck out to you?
Yes, actually. There was the possibility of a buy down. So one of the really great things is that we had a surplus this year. We had a surplus of we had a surplus of $568,000. So one of the things that we could do with that is we can spend it and, spend it on some items that are really needed for the city. And one of the other option is do what's called a buy down. And that is where the money is rolled over into the next year's budget.
So to simplify what you're saying, and this is a very simplified form of what you're saying, we collected more money in taxes than what we spent, so we have extra money left over. And so what you're suggesting as a possible option would be to take that extra money and apply it to the upcoming debt in the new fiscal year so that we start below zero. We start in a negative, so we're already ahead of the game when the new budget starts. Very simplified way of saying that.
Correct.
Yeah.
But
now
there is some, so I do have a clip for this. And the explanations on them is pretty good. So
sure. Let's hear what you have.
All right.
Positions and then fully funded.
So it sounds like this question is really related to, do we use the undesignated FY21 fund balance in the amount of $100,000 to buy down the tax rate for 1 year? And so it gets back to this list that we've been working on, of which we've already committed to some staffing and resources in the IT administrator.
Right.
I'd be opposed to using that $100,000 to buy down the tax rate. One, because we have so many capital needs, and there's unfunded just in the equipment list, and we don't even have the infrastructure list really fleshed out totally. And we know there are tremendous needs on the infrastructure side too. And two, we have immediate staffing needs right now, and it may mean paying a premium to get an assessor, or some assistance in the public works or planning department. And we've already had this staffing conversation for IT, but we didn't have that staffing conversation for the assessment, the planning, permitting, and assessment department, or public works, and also thinking about how do we scale up staff capacity for project management. So those are the things I'm thinking about with this the wish list. I don't like that term, but the list of things.
It's just a convenient catch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so I wouldn't buy that in the tax rate.
Yeah, I'm gonna just note that I would buy down the tax rate either. If anything, it just adds to next year's problem of trying to fill this at a reasonable level.
I'm not married to that proposal. It was an option. I felt an obligation to put it on the table for the council to consider it. If the council decides no, fine.
Sure.
Am I allowed to comment?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, thank you, Mayor. And council sets a tax rate to collect a certain amount of money and to balance a certain level of expenditure. And sometimes in some years, those expenditures are, just because of circumstances, are easier to manage than others. And I've always felt that if you end up with a surplus, it's no differently than sending someone to the store with $10 to get bread and milk, and they come back and they tell you that, well, here's your bread and milk, but milk is on sale. So it was only $8, but I'm keeping the other two. So the city, the citizens have already got their level of services through the expenditure side of the budget, but it didn't cost as much as the council anticipated it would when they set the tax rate. Now, just to give you a little history on general fund balances in the city of Barre, for the majority of my time of service, we couldn't keep a fund balance. It was actually in the charter that if there was any money left over, you had to immediately return it to the voters.
So both of those arguments are really good. If we take the money and we buy down the budget, we will have a problem next year when we're actually going through the budget process, because we will be behind. We'll be down by 100,000, whatever it is. So that's correct. There is that problem. But there's also on the other side, which is you go to the store with $8 or $10 and you come back with $8. Where's the other $2? They're both very reasonable and understandable positions.
Let's give some credit to the video and the audio, because we had Councilor Hemrick for the first part of that video talking, Mayor Herring after that, followed by former Mayor Tom Lozon with the bread and milk comparison.
Correct.
Just to be
And
clear for everybody.
yeah. And it was an option that was presented by Steve. He's not saying that we absolutely should do that. He was just providing it as an option. We did have some conversation about that, and what ended up happening was an idea was floated where, because we have 568,000. Actually, I take that back because we've already spent some of it.
500 roughly.
Yeah, about 500,000. So one of the other options is we could take like 100,000, buy down, and then take another 100,000, for the following year, make it 75,000 for the buy down. So we buy down for the next 3-4 years and slowly build up, versus
Put it
all into one and then deal with that problem next year. Not a bad idea.
So I can see, like you said, I can see both schools of thought on that. I don't see how putting the money towards hiring new staff is actually going to help anything, because then you may pay for that new staff position in year one, but year two it gets added back into the budget. So we're actually increasing the budget for the following year, 2 years down the road. So 1 year we get, essentially you get somebody for free 1 year because you're using that budget surplus. But year two, it gets tacked onto the budget. So in year two, you now have another, city position that needs to be funded through taxes. So that's actually not, I don't see how that would help. I can look and see equipment and infrastructure in terms of, if we need a new piece of equipment for the city, okay, that, we can use this money to buy that equipment, so then it's not added to the budget in the following years in terms of a bond or a loan or something like that. So that would make sense to me. Infrastructure improvement, if there's audits that need to be done or equipment efficiency tests that can be done, I can see it using it for that. If there's immediate repairs we know need to be done on water mains or lines under the ground, like I can see using it for that. I think probably anybody listening to this broadcast will tell us there's paving in the city that needs to be done, that we could use it for something like that. Those are things I don't think that people are going to have a problem with. I would actually suggest that a portion of that money, whether it be $100,000 even, gets set aside and put into a trust for what we know we're going to need coming up, and that's going to be a DPW building. That is an absolute necessity that needs to be replaced. We literally have a building with mold, holes in the ceilings that's caving in, that's going to need to be replaced. It's already been earmarked and said we're going to do a study. We need to figure out what we're going to do with that, and we're looking at a serious bill there. I mean, that's an $8 million plus thing that's going to need to be done. So if we could take a portion of that money right here in year one, put it into a trust where it's going to earn some interest, by year 3 to 5, when we're actually ready to proceed and get that building built, it's going to be a sizable down payment and chunk of money to be able to apply to that bill right off the bat. And it's not going to help us now, but in year 3 or year 5, when we're ready to move forward, it's going to help people then, and it's going to soften the blow a little bit. And so that would be a suggestion that I had. I do like the idea, though, of buying down the budget for the next 3 years. I think that makes a lot of sense. As former Mayor Lozon said, if I give you $10 to the store and you come back with change and tell me you're going to keep it, that doesn't work for me. I'm not going to give you money again. I mean, if we're going to follow that analogy, anybody who takes extra money from me, I'm not going to give them money again. And so I think we're almost kind of building in a slight sense of distrust in our elected officials if we take that money and we don't do something productive to show the public on why we kept that money.
Yeah, understandable.
So,
regarding the DPW building, I don't know if well, I can tell you that money's not going to touch the amount that it's going to cost for that building. It's going to be, That's going to be a bond vote.
Well, I mean, it is going to be a bond vote, but if you have money to apply to it, it lessens the amount of money you need in a bond vote. And 5 years of a trust or of interest being earned on $100,000 is going to be a lot better than a straight $8 million bond.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a nickel in the bucket, but every nickel counts.
True. It'll be interesting to see where the conversation goes.
I will be interested. And I recommend people stay tuned to that, because this is the people who are listening to us. That is your money.
Yep.
I mean, the city has your money, and your elected officials are going to make a decision on what we do with it.
Absolutely. And as we're talking about it being your money and paying attention, this video is online, so make comments.
Yes, absolutely. Please.
Those comments make a
and
difference.
Suggestions. We want
Yep.
to we want to hear them, and I believe and I know for a fact that counselors want to hear your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Michael, what else do you
So
have for us?
Yes, let's talk about some agenda items that are coming up tomorrow.
That looks like a Pokemon that went through some kind of a nuclear disaster. I don't really know what to make of that.
You don't know what that is there, Mr. Morey?
I don't know.
You don't know what that is?
What that is? No,
You do?
I don't know
No?
anything about that.
You don't know anything about what that looks like?
No, I don't.
No?
How-
7 leaves? No?
Seven
don't-
leaves? Poison ivy? Oh wait, that's leaves.
Oh, no,
of,
that's 3.
Leaves of
That's
3.
3, my friend.
Poison oak? I don't know.
Pot.
Oh, no wonder I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Please
Listen.
enlighten us on why we have a pot cake leaf in front of us.
Well, it's not in front of them anymore.
Okay.
It's still in front of us. We get 2 screens, so.
Please tell us more.
Sure.
I know everyone wants to know about your pot cake.
It's not my pot.
Oh, okay. It looks like a picture.
I don't
so
smoke pot.
I was confused. It was a picture. So
I may have in the past when I was a kid, but I didn't inhale. That's a lie.
That's very 1995 of you.
Yeah. It was about when it happened, too.
Thank you.
So anyway, yeah, we will be discussing dispensaries, whether or not Barre City should have dispensaries. The legislature did pass it, and one of the things,
allowance of dispensaries
Correct.
within municipalities.
Correct.
Legally.
Correct. One of the things that would have to happen is the municipality would have to, by a majority vote, not of the council, but of the citizens, to allow that to happen.
So you're talking a town meeting day ballot vote.
Correct. So in March, citizens will be allowed to make that decision for the city. I have opinions on that. Obviously.
I know you do. We've
Of
had this.
course.
You and I have had this discussion probably close to 10 times already.
Yeah, probably.
I think.
So I will say that for the discussion about putting it on the ballot.
Feel free to state your honest opinion on how you feel about
once
it.
again.
Well, no, I mean, I think everyone deserves to know how you honestly feel before we go down and you and I discuss it here in this podcast. Tell everybody what your feelings are in regards to the legalization of marijuana sales in the city of Barre.
So I'll just say that the state can legalize it all they want. It's still illegal. Just so you know,
it's federally illegal.
It's federally illegal to do. Whether or not the federal government should have rights over that, that's a conversation about, state rights. And I'm definitely in the camp of the federal government should have nothing to do with that. That's something that the state should decide.
Okay.
But should we allow dispensaries in Barre City? I can tell you that I will likely vote to put it on the ballot. And then in the ballot box, I will vote no.
And I am going to contradict you and tell you that I will vote yes on it. Go ahead.
Pothead.
Well, I mean, I look around the country and I see what marijuana sales, the taxation of marijuana sales, has done for cities and towns across this country. And it is a major revenue source for municipalities or cities. And while the city is not in the business of generating revenue to survive, when we are facing revenue shortages, this is an untapped market that we know, based on the fact that we live in Vermont, that other towns and cities are going to legalize it. It's a matter of time before Burlington legalizes it. It's a matter of time before Montpelier legalizes it. So if they're going to legalize it and they're going to reap the benefits of taxation on legalized marijuana sales, I think it would be an extreme failure on Barre City's part not to also capitalize on that. Because I know personally people who have gone to other states and other cities to purchase marijuana products. I know these same people, if given the opportunity to go to Montpelier to purchase them, will do that. So why would we want to lose out on tax dollars to another city so close to us and just let that money go? That's the problem I have with it.
Did I mention anything about doing a local options tax on it?
We haven't gotten to that point. I'm telling you, this is why. But
there is no conversation
that
about
long-winded
that.
rant that I just gave you is because I think that is why I feel we should legalize.
You know, and that's fine. You know, my mom, she told me if everybody jumps off the bridge, that doesn't mean that you should jump off the bridge. We'll just disagree on that one, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It
is okay, because ultimately it's going to be up to the voters to decide whether we should even consider it or not. And I think that we'll find, and I know this won't shock you, but I think you'll find that it will pass. And, the next conversation comes on where do you set the rate at and the guidelines, because that also gets decided by the municipality. That's not a statewide decision. So, once it passes, again, making the assumption that it will pass in March, the council at that time is going to have to sit down and look at what they want that tax rate to be, similar to the options tax we have on beverages right now. If you eat out, we have that 1% option tax on restaurants for alcoholic beverages. And so I think if you look, you'll find that some states, Massachusetts being one of them, really taxes hard on marijuana sales. And it's a super high tax rate above. You look at what I think the tax on beer right now is 8%, and then we add the 1%, so a 9% tax on beer when you go out to a restaurant. I would anticipate and think it would be fair to have that tax rate be higher than 9% over alcohol. So you're looking at, let's say, a 10+% tax rate on sales. That's a huge number, and it's a huge generating revenue stream right there.
We'll see.
Right. It's all speculation. It's speculation at this point.
I don't personally believe in it. I mean, it is what it is.
And I think the other piece, there's a finer
But I don't have a problem letting the citizens vote on that.
And there's a finer discussion to go around it, because that's not saying that, every single store up and down Main Street is going to have marijuana for sale. I believe the state has specific guidelines similar to how it's structured with liquor outlets. You have to go through a permitting and licensing review, get approved to be able to sell them. So, you're not going to be able to go up and down Main Street and hit every single store and buy marijuana products. I mean, that's the other side of it. It's, your next door neighbor is not going to be selling marijuana things out of their home legally. Because I'm sure now there are some that are illegal, but there's other discussion. There's other pieces of the puzzle.
I can guarantee you that there's illegal sales. I was actually never happens.
I don't believe that.
I was actually just for fun, giggles and stuff. I was at the police station.
We're talking giggles when we're talking about marijuana. Nice, Michael.
Oh,
nice.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I have a story.
Are you hungry too? Should we talk about food and giggles?
Is that another fat joke, Rich?
No, I'm talking about munchies.
That was another fat joke.
I was talking about munchies. I mean, we're talking about the giggles, and now we might as well bring up munchies as well. Admit it, your favorite movie's Half Baked. I know it is.
I haven't seen that movie.
No, sure you haven't. It's got Dave Chappelle in it, Jim Brewer. I can see that knowing glance. You know what I'm talking about. You're just trying to deny it and be
No,
innocent.
I know the name. I just don't know
Oh.
the movie.
Not to be confused with Half Baked the Ben & Jerry's ice cream, which is
Not
personally one of
really.
my favorite. That's cookie dough and brownie ice cream. Very delicious. All right.
I'm a chunky monkey kind of guy.
Is that a fat joke?
Yeah, that was a fat joke,
Okay.
but true.
It's because you
true.
like the bananas in it, isn't it?
I do like the banana,
Uh-huh.
the banana ice cream, and the dark chocolate and the walnuts. It's pretty yummy.
All right.
But I
Tell your
will.
story. Go back to
The
let's get this train
talking
back on the
about
tracks here.
I was down at the police station picking up.
You were at the
I
police
was
station?
I was at the police
Holy
station.
cow, you're talking about giggles when talking about pot. We just went on a rant about munchies.
Well,
And now you're talking about being at the police
well,
station.
I wanted to tell you because at the police station, I was dropping off a tote of something. We'll get to that later.
That story is
It's going to be
so
great.
many questions. So many questions.
So I'm in the police station. I walk in through one door, and all of a sudden, I'm hit with the smell of marijuana.
How do you know what marijuana smells like?
Really, Rich? Really?
I was just asking.
Smells like skunk.
Fair question. Oh, okay. All right.
So I walked in there, and it hit me real hard. And the officer told me that they busted somebody with like 20 plants, and that's what it was. I think it was 20 plants
Cool. All right.
or
So
something like that.
what
It
was-
was really
can we
smelly.
go back to the tote that you were carrying into the police station?
We can.
What was in your tote?
Money. Lots and lots of money. Now that's not on our agenda until the next item.
Oh, okay.
I
All right.
mean-
this is a recent story then.
We can.
We won't skip to the next item.
we'll-
We'll circle back to that when we get to the next item.
Okay. So one of the other agenda items that we're going to be talking about tomorrow night is one of my favorite topics. I just love talking about electric vehicles.
I hope everyone saw my eye roll and heard my sigh because I know I've heard this discussion 3 times
Yes.
at council, let alone the number of times that you and I have discussed it personally.
Every year I bring it up. And I just love talking about it because I love the fact that we support our rich people. And we
those-
talk about opinions. I'm sorry.
For those
So-
of you not aware, Michael has a problem with electric vehicles.
I do.
Michael believes that only rich people drive electric vehicles. So
Oh, I just got a text message. I hope.
I know I'm pretty sure everybody driving by just heard that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's not only rich people. I'm just saying that if you can afford the electric car, you can afford to pay for the electric
What's
car.
the average price of an electric vehicle in the United States?
It's like $10,000 more than a regular car.
Is that a current 2021 fact?
Google it.
I'm asking you.
The last time I checked, it was like $10,000, $15,000
When was the last
extra.
time you checked?
I don't know, like a month ago.
Don't keep
ju-
talking because I'm
don't-
googling it right now.
Don't check me. Don't check me.
Keep talking.
Oh, I'm getting ready because I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait.
Keep
Oh,
talking. I'm looking.
Keep talking. I'm gonna
According,
keep talking.
this is as of August 5th, 2021 from money.com. According to Kelly Blue Book, the average transaction price for an electric vehicle in April 2021 was $51,532. That's more than $11,000 higher than what you pay at the dealership for a full-size gas-powered car and nearly $30,000 more than the average compact car sale.
I'm gonna break that bell, no doubt about it.
So,
So
I'm
what
not
was the
saying you're
words?
right.
What are the words that you're waiting for? That I'm waiting for, actually, Rich?
I didn't question you. I was just asking you, and I just validated you via Google.
I appreciate you validating me.
So
I
there you go.
truly appreciate that.
Now everybody knows.
Yes. So with that, we're going to have a conversation about ChargePoint. Everybody knows ChargePoint is the
I don't
vendor
think
to
everybody
go.
knows that.
Oh, okay. So
For those of you who don't know,
for those of you who don't know what ChargePoint is, it's and you know what? You're right. The only reason why I know about it is because of City Council. ChargePoint is the electric vehicle go-to place.
So,
And
a little more clarification. So if you think of, we use Park Mobile for our parking meters. It's an app
You're welcome.
to be able to pay your parking meter. charge point would be a similar app for those that have electric vehicles. When they log into their app and are searching for a place to charge their phones, it alerts them at the nearest charging where the nearest charging station is.
Correct. And it does the charges and everything else. It's convenient, but at the end of the day, it costs money. It costs the city like I'm not going to quote them out. I just know
it's gone down every year. What Michael's getting at is that the city ends up paying every year into charge points. So the first few years we had it was a few $1,000s, and I believe the last year I was on council was $800 and something dollars. We ended up paying in, which means we're subsidizing charge point for people charging their electric vehicles within city limits. That's what you're getting at.
It is, and I'm like playing this through my mind, and I'm thinking this probably wasn't something that needed to come up. I just don't like it.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about,
which we're getting into opinions again, and this is going to be a problem for me.
This is an opinion piece for you, but I think the point you were trying to make on this is that when we're looking at the budget percentage going up, the first thing you need to do is look at what's costing you money. And
correct.
This is something that has continually cost the city money over the years. And granted, it has gone down on the amount that it's cost the city, but it has been a reoccurring expense for the city, in turn, reoccurring expense for taxpayers. And that's, I think that's the point you're trying to make people aware of. You have sprinkled in your opinion a little bit on it, but you're making people aware of the fact that this is costing taxpayers money.
Right.
That's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
We'll pull that one up for you.
I apologize. I really, my goal is, and our goal legitimately is try not to provide opinion on things, but I get a feeling I know it's going to be hard for me.
My opening statement of you hating electric vehicles is not necessarily true. When you were looking to buy your Jeep, you did research an electric Jeep, and it was unattainable for you due to the price point of it being that much higher than a gas-powered one. So, in all fairness,
my options were I could pay for the Jeep that I got, which is beautiful, and if you saw it, and you would know it's mine because I'm the only one with that color. It's mojito green. Look it up. It's amazing. Anyway, it's almost as amazing as my Crocs.
Oh, God. There's another eye roll.
Thanks, Rich.
Yeah.
I feel the love.
I probably shouldn't have yelled that out because JD's over there and he wears Crocs too. So
yeah, he does. And he's probably going to smack you when we're done.
Here. I've never worn Crocs in my life, not even for 5 seconds.
So if you haven't worn Crocs in your life, how can you sit there and judge them? You have no idea.
Who said I was judging them?
You
just put your judgy pants on and a roll in your eyes.
If you're watching this right now, if you survived the last 40 minutes, put in the comments that he was judging me. And we all know he was judging me. And that's okay. That's fine. I expect the judgment from the Crocs. People judge me all the time.
My only question is, though, in this type of weather, do you keep them in sport mode or do you put them in 4x4 mode?
So I used to have fuzzy Crocs.
I guess you'd have to be in comfort
and
mode
they
there.
do have fuzzy Crocs at Lenny's if you want to go there, which I may be going there at some point and getting those fuzzy Crocs. Because let me tell you.
Awesome.
Those are nice.
All right, let's pull this out of the gutter and get back to something that, because I don't even know where we're going here.
I don't either. We're going to talk about something that I really love and I'm really excited about.
This next topic is one that is very, very near and dear to Michael's heart. In terms of things that Michael participates in the city, this is one that is very special and has a special place in his heart. And I know that. I know that personally. We've had conversations about this. I've been part of it. Michael is very active and a very, very energetic participant in this event every year. And what we're talking about is the council coin drop that happens every year in December. It happened this past weekend. It's also an event. So for those of you not aware, it's an event where counselors stand out in the middle of the street in front of Domino's. They collect coins and bills from 8 a.m. to about 11:30 noonish. That money's then turned into the bank. This year it was Community National Bank, where it's counted. check is then presented back to council. That money goes to Officer Jason Fleury, who's the SRO at the Barre City Elementary Middle School. And he goes out and he actually personally, he and his daughter go out personally and buy Christmas presents for kids that wouldn't have otherwise had a holiday season. And as a disclaimer, the kids that are selected for this program, the families that are selected for this program, have been vetted via DCF and via the school system. They're well aware and well known to Jason. They're people that he's interacted with. And so nobody is unaware that this event is going to happen or unaware that they've been selected for this program. These families are then, well, let me start over again. After Jason has purchased these gifts, they are then wrapped by generally the council members, the city manager. They're wrapped and then set aside, and Jason goes around and delivers the presents to these families in his uniform. And it's an act of goodwill. So, as I said, people get to experience the holiday season. They get a positive interaction with the police department where they may have only been aware of a negative reaction with the police. And it's just a real feel-good story for everybody all the way around. So that's a quick history of it. I'm going to let Michael do more of the talking on this because he's been involved with it way longer than I have. So
10 years, 11 years, maybe 12. However long I've been on city council. Tom was the one that Tom Lozon, former mayor Tom Lozon. He was the person that really ran the program. And I say ran it, but ultimately the person that really runs it is Jason Fleury. Hands down. He does all the work for everything. City council just gets to pat themselves on the backs for the most part. We do a coin drop and that's it. Also the
wrapping.
Well, yeah, we do some wrapping as well.
That was a really poor attempt at beatboxing
so
on
Oh,
Michael's.
I'm sorry.
I hope when you edit that, you delete that portion.
I'm not going to. It's going.
Oh, boy.
Moving
along.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a program that's been around for 15, 20 years. I don't know the exact date.
Had some different names and iterations in the past.
Yeah.
Before what it is now.
Originally it was set up for the police department, the Junior Officers Association. Money went there. They would literally take a truck, go up to Toys R Us, shut down the store and buy everything, the stuff that
and
they
by
had.
Toys R Us, you probably mean KB Toys up at the Berlin Mall.
Toys R Us
wow.
at up in Williston.
Oh, wow.
Yep. They opened up the store early. The governor was there. Governor Douglas would be there. And it was a pretty large program at the time. Then it kind of tapered down a bit. It's definitely not at its height of what it was, but it's, still active. We had a couple years where the money was either just given to the school and city council really didn't do much except for take the money through the coin drop. And about 2-3 years ago, we started doing making it so that the police department is delivering that. The fact is that children that are receiving these gifts, I've made no bones about it. My desire is to see a police officer give it to them because that's a positive impact. Straight up. But yeah, so this year, if you're watching this, and you're watching this before I post it tomorrow or announce it at a city council meeting, I'm going to tell you how much we got at the coin drop. Do you want to take a guess? Oh, you can't take a guess. I've already sent it.
Before you do that, though, why don't you play that slideshow again? Because I was talking through that, and maybe if there's anything there you want to point out.
Yeah, it was really chilly. No, it wasn't that bad. Actually, in the morning, my beard got all crusty from the ice, and I will say that was there at 7:45, and at about 8 o'clock, I tried to call Lucas because I'm like, where are you? And he showed up about 8:15, but for a minute there, I thought it was just me. So for a while there, I was collecting money by myself. And thankfully Lucas showed up and I was so glad. And then Jason Fleury came at 9:00 and I called you about 9:30, asking you to come down. And I do appreciate that. We got to transition that back over. Look at that. So the amount,
yeah.
So we want everybody to take a guess. So take this moment, write how much you think it's going to be.
And then throw it in the trash can because no one's going to know what you guessed.
That's true. So I will tell you.
We should have had a sound effect for a drum roll.
Oh.
Then the total is
$3,943.51.
wow.
That is the highest amount we've collected at the coin drop. Last year we had significantly more donations through private entities doing it. This year, I think we're going to get a pretty high amount this year as well. So I'm very excited about that, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that donated. It's not easy to go through. Nobody likes going through a coin drop, but when you drop that money in the Christmas for Kids bucket, that money is paid. It goes directly to buying a gift. There is no overhead. There is no staff cost. That is just paying for the present.
100% funds
Right.
received to the recipient.
Exactly. And that is a wonderful thing. And I'm really glad that we were able to do it this year. Last year we couldn't due to COVID, and this year we did it.
Yeah, it was a great event. It was nice. I think everybody was happy to see us. I know we got a number of compliments this year of people saying how wonderful it was and how great it was to be doing this. I will say it is interesting how things have changed. This is only my second time doing it in 3 years, but you know, the number of people that don't have coins available and ask if we accept bills.
Yes.
You know,
Yes,
it's
we
funny.
do.
Yes, we do. We accept as many bills as you have, as a matter of fact. But I say this year it did seem like more people gave this year than I remember the first year of me doing it. And that was nice to see. And people were giving large amounts, not just $1. It was multiple dollars, $5,
Yeah.
$10, $20, whatever it was. And
That we had, I think we had $200 bills in there. One of them came from, I'm just gonna out them on this. So it was the fire department.
the firefighters union.
The firefighters union, they gave $100, and I don't know where the other $100 bill came from, but you know, in years past, we've had people drop like $600 into the bucket.
And, you know, the other thing that was interesting to see was people that were going through multiple times, you know,
Mhm.
headed out of town, headed back into town, that still made an effort to come through and put money in. And, you know, that's not, you know, nobody has to give money. And to give money and then come back through and give money again is really special. And it's touching to see people wanting to make that contribution and help kids out so that they get a chance to have a holiday season. And you know, it means a lot. It's nice to see people rally together and help community members out that are less fortunate.
Absolutely. And I'll just share this. This is the money that was in the tote. So that was extremely heavy. Let me tell you.
There was a lot of I mean, people were dumping change jars that they used for their parking meters into that.
Yeah. It was very,
Who's
very,
that shady
very.
character?
Oh, so that's not on the screen. So we'll just
Oh,
push that right
nobody
on
can
over.
see. It's a picture of Mayor Herring.
Yes. So it was kind of funny. I was down at I called Community National Bank and asked if they had a coin counter, and they told me they did. And I asked them if they would help me count the coins and count the money. So I went down there, and thankfully there were 3 tellers that came out. Kathy Morse, Laurel Lee Drown, and Brooke Luprise. So I really appreciate you three. You made that so much easier. It's not a fun process to pull all that money out. And, yeah.
Big thank you to Community
Yeah.
National Bank.
Absolutely. And it was kind of funny. I was down there and Lucas showed up. And of course I wrangled him into, doing the counting as well.
And the obligatory mayor's picture.
Yes. Hence the reason why we had that picture.
Even if to the chagrin of many in the community, he's wearing his Kansas City Chief gear.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that.
That's fine. I got you covered.
So this was the receipts, and we did get some foreign currency, Canadian money in there. There was some pesos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And somebody decided to provide, 7/8 of a coin.
Okay. Hey, what are you going to do?
But this year we didn't have any rings. So, I
That's
mean,
good.
that's kind of positive, right?
Very positive. It would have been nice if it's one of those gold coins that people put in the Salvation Army.
Ooh,
That would have been nice. That would have been cool.
That would have been nice. That definitely would have been kicked out by the machine.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I imagine.
So we'll move on to, well, we're pushing an hour and like 20 minutes.
We're at the last couple things. The last thing we had on here was we figured we would just talk about some things that are upcoming in the city. This past Saturday, December 4th, started the third annual Barre Holiday House Decorating Contest. Those that have followed this in the past, there's been one overall winner, a second place finisher, and I believe a third. It's a little bit different this year. There's actually two categories. There's going to be a Martha Stewart category, and then there's going to be a Clark Griswold. So for those that aren't aware, Martha Stewart would be more of your classically decorated house, white lights, very tastefully done. I believe, what's the house that up on Nelson Street, I believe is the one that's won the last 2 years. That would fall into the Martha Stewart category. And then the Clark Griswold, for those that have not seen National Lampoon's Holiday Vacation, would be your very gaudy light displays, lots of colors, inflatables, projections, music playing. Basically those that choose to go with a loan for their electric bill through the holiday season. But both categories will get a chance this year to win an individual prize. So that actually runs Saturday, December 4th through Sunday, December 26th. And then the winner will be announced on Monday, December 27th. And I know in years past, Tracy Lewis, the executive director of the partnership, has actually taken the time to generate a tour guide or a map so you can go around and see all the lights and get a chance to vote on those. So that's pretty exciting. And then
I will say that this year the city council is supporting it,
nice.
Which is still going to get the check down to her, but and the Barre City Community fan page will be sending money to that as well.
Awesome. And then
which
today,
means my money.
Thank you, Michael. It's appreciated. And then today, December 6th through December 17th, there's the Find the Elves in downtown Barre this holiday season. So there's a number of merchants. I see 10 listed here. There's 2 elves that will be in various stores daily. The elves' names are, do you know, Michael?
No, I do not.
The 2 elves are Mary and Barry.
Ooh.
In case you weren't aware. The elves will be in different stores daily. So you just need to go around to these participating stores, try to find the elves, and then you submit them, and you're eligible to win a gift card from the participating Barre businesses. So I believe you can go on either the partnership website or you can work with The World, who's also supporting this, to get your entries in once you found those elves. So just a couple things that are happening starting this week in downtown Barre for everyone to know about if you weren't already aware.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that comes to the end. For those that stayed with us, so sorry.
But we are sorry, but we honestly, though, we appreciate you, and thank you for taking the time to go through this painstakingly new process for us, and hopefully you'll tune in again to see what we have in store. I promise we can only go up from here, and that's a very weighted statement because the bar's real low at this point, folks.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It is a little low.
And as
we'll work on that.
We will work on it. We'll work on it. And as Michael said at the beginning, please feel free and please do leave us comments. Any ideas you have, any feedback you have, we want to hear it all. The good, the bad, and the good.
Preferably all the good.
Yeah.
I will say, hopefully we can get people to comment or talk to us. I mean, I got, just as a side note, I got an answer from the ever working always Steve McKenzie, who I don't think the man sleeps, quite frankly. So it's a separate grants. We're talking about the
single audit.
Yeah, single audit. A separate grants audit triggered when you receive $750,000 in federal aid in the fiscal year. So we're definitely receiving federal aid of $750,000, which maybe on the next podcast we could talk about ARPA funds.
That would be a very great discussion to have.
And very long
Yeah.
and probably very complicated. And honestly, we should probably ask Cody to come down to explain it all to us.
So, anyways, thank you everybody for listening and tuning in, and I hope it wasn't as painful as I felt it was for you.
It probably was.
Yeah.
But we'll get better, and yeah,
Like I said, it's only up from here.
only up from here. Thank you, and
Thank you.
we
and
shall.
Good night.
Yes, good night. And just as a side note, hopefully at one point we will feel comfortable enough to actually go live.
Ooh.
We're not there yet.
Stay tuned.
Yes.